One of the biggest misunderstandings about boundaries is that they push people away. We sometimes imagine that setting a boundary means saying, I don't care, you are on your own, or simply no. But healthy boundaries are not necessarily about creating distance. Sometimes they make it possible for us to remain connected without losing ourselves in the relationship. In my previous conversation, I spoke about the difference between helping and rescuing, and that raises an important question today. If I care about you, but constantly take responsibility for what belongs to you, where do I end and where do you begin? That's where the boundary becomes important. A boundary helps us recognize what belongs to me, my choices, my behavior, my emotions, and my responsibilities, and also what belongs to you. But boundaries can be difficult, particularly in close relationships. Imagine someone who has always been available for their family. Whenever there's a problem, everyone calls them. They listen, they solve, they accommodate. Then one day they say, I can't do this today. And suddenly someone responds, you have changed. You are becoming selfish. What do you think happened there? From a systemic perspective, the boundary hasn't affected only one person. It has changed something in the relationship. The system was accustomed to one person always being available. When that person behaves differently, everyone else has to adjust. And adjustment can create discomfort. That's why setting a boundary can sometimes make us feel guilty. We interpret another person's disappointment as evidence that we have done something wrong. But someone being disappointed with your boundary does not automatically mean the boundary is wrong. Sometimes disappointment is simply part of adjusting to a new way of relating. We see this in couples as well. Perhaps one partner has always avoided disagreement to keep the peace. Eventually, they begin expressing what they genuinely think. The other person may experience this as you are becoming difficult, but perhaps they are not becoming difficult. Perhaps they are becoming more visible in the relationship. Healthy boundaries don't mean I don't care how you feel. They mean I can care about how you feel without making your feelings entirely my responsibility. There's an important distinction. And boundaries also apply in the workplace. Being committed to your work doesn't mean you must always be available. Being a supportive colleague doesn't mean taking responsibility for everyone else's workload. Being a good leader doesn't mean solving every problem for your team. Sometimes boundaries allow other people to develop their own capacity. And perhaps this is where boundaries connect most strongly with our conversation about rescuing. When we constantly step in, we may unintentionally communicate, I don't believe you can manage this without me. A healthy boundary can communicate something very different. I care about you, and I also believe you are capable. Of course, boundaries aren't an excuse for becoming rigid or uncaring. Healthy relationships involve flexibility. There are times when people genuinely need us. There are times when we make sacrifices for people we love. The question is whether that sacrifice is a choice or whether it has become an expectation we no longer feel permitted to question. So perhaps boundaries aren't really about building walls. They are about creating clarity. Clarity about what I can give. Clarity about what I cannot give. Clarity about what belongs to me. And clarity about what belongs to you. So I'd like to leave you with one question. Where in your life are you saying yes, not because you genuinely want to, but because you are afraid of what might happen if you say no? That may be a useful place to begin thinking about boundaries, because sometimes saying no to something isn't rejecting another person. Sometimes it's simply making room for a healthier way of saying yes. If this conversation resonated with you, subscribe and join me as we continue exploring psychology, relationships, leadership, and personal growth through a systemic lens. Until next time, see the system, understand the pattern, create meaningful change.